What's up, guys?
It's Mundane Miracle Monday.
Yay! Today we're going to share some stories about just our time as kids, growing up, homeschooled in the early 2000s, and what we've listened to, what we watched.
Yeah, my dad was a youth pastor, and so I feel like I have a plethora of just like I have story after story after story of things that like I don't think normal kids really
Experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Even like youth group kids, it's different being the youth pastor's kid.
I bet.
We experienced things differently and also didn't experience things because like we had a lot of things that we weren't allowed to watch or listen to.
Yeah.
And so we watched a lot of PBS.
Same. What was your favorite PBS Kids show?
I really liked Big Comfy Couch and
Same.
Arthur.
I loved Arthur.
I still love Arthur.
An Electric Company.
I don't think I ever watched that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. And Fetch with Riff Ruffman.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, those were Electric Company and Fetch were like not when I was a little kid, more like
yeah.
older kid.
Yeah. There's a librarian that I follow on TikTok, and they have Arthur's library card tattooed on their arm. And I love that. Do you know that episode? It's the library episode. And there's a whole song that goes, having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card.
Oh, yeah. I know that song.
It's so great.
I don't know if I can really remember the episode,
could sing
but I
the
know the
whole
song.
song for you. Ariel remembers this show called Bananas in Pajamas.
What?
And for a long time, she thought like she had made it up, like it was a fever dream or something. Because she would like ask me and David, like, don't you guys remember this show? And she would ask other people that grew up around like in our time period. And everybody would be like, what are you talking about?
It must have been a dream she had.
Yes. We genuinely thought that. And then one time she like looked it up on YouTube and she found the theme song.
Oh, wow.
And it's literally Bananas in Pajamas. And the theme song goes, bananas in pajamas are coming down the stairs. Bananas in pajamas, da, 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 everywhere. I don't know.
I'm
it's
scared.
Like and I can't remember like what the animation style was. I think it was just plain, like a plain cartoon. I don't know.
So did the bananas have legs?
Yes, they had arms and legs.
Oh. That makes more sense how they were wearing pajamas. I was trying to picture it.
Nightgowns. Yeah. Oh, we also watched Wishbone. Did you watch Wishbone?
Loved Wishbone, yeah.
I wish I could remember it.
And Zaboomafoo.
I didn't watch Zaboomafoo.
Gosh, I love Zaboomafoo.
I like know just because the commercials, but I didn't watch it.
And you and Zaboomafoo. I don't know the words. Curious George. I don't know. Was that on PBS? Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't ever remember watching Curious George. Oh my gosh, this is such an iconic Mariah story. I don't remember ever watching Curious George, the cartoon. But there was one time when I have no idea what my mom was doing. But for some reason, my dad and I were left alone. And I think it was like for a weekend. It was just us.
Oh.
And so we went to the movies when the movie Curious George came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like probably 12. And I loved the movie. And the credits song was a Matt Carney song. Do you know Matt Carney?
I don't think so.
He would play on the Christian radio. I can't think of a single song that he sings right now.
Must not be them.
But he has like this really distinctive voice. And, Ships in the Night. Do you know that song? Like ships in the night. You're just passing me by. We're wasting time.
Yeah.
So
I feel like he probably played Winter Jam or something.
Probably. But I just remember hearing that at the credits song, and I looked at my dad and I was like, oh, this is Matt Carney. And I don't know why that was so important to me, but like that's a core memory that I have, is just going to see Curious George with my dad. Just the two of us. Because I think it's because we never went to see movies together, especially like movies like that I would want to see and he wouldn't. Like we went to watch, well, no, not even The Lord of the Rings. I was too little for that. He went to watch The Lord of the Rings with David. But like if we went to see a movie, it would be like an action movie.
Wow. As a kid?
Yeah, like Narnia.
No. That's what you mean by action movie?
And like Batman and all of the Marvel movies, like that kind of stuff. That's like what we saw. That's what we watched as like a family. And then if there was like a rom-com or something, Ariel and I would just go by ourselves. But anyway, I was too little for that.
I mean, I guess Left Behind was pretty action
Oh,
filled.
that was action packed, baby. Everybody disappearing.
That was honestly my biggest fear growing up.
Yeah, same.
Not that it was like I was scared that I wouldn't go to heaven, but I was just scared that one day. Well, honestly, yeah.
Yeah,
What if I did wake up and everyone's clothes were just laying on their bed and they weren't there?
That's crazy. Like
And
when
The
you
Passion.
really I've never seen that.
Really?
Yes, let me tell you another story. When that first came out, I can't remember how old I was. Maybe like 5, 6. But our church took a like group to go see it, and it was rated R. So like you're not gonna bring a little 6-year-old kid into the theater with you to an R-rated movie. I think some people did, but
They did.
that wasn't my parents'
I remember.
jive. And so I stayed home with a babysitter, and we watched The Lion King 1.5. And
I
it was the
forgot
best
about
night of my
that.
whole life. So that's what I think of when I think of The Passion of the Christ, is Lion King 1.5.
And you still never watched it?
No.
You should watch it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I will be okay not watching it again because it makes you bawl your eyes out.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. Okay, so I'm watching The Chosen.
Yeah, it's probably like that, right?
I think The Chosen is more biblically accurate than The Passion. And so I feel like as we're like leading up to, I think there's going to be like 5 or 6 seasons of The Chosen. I think that's going to affect me in the way that The Passion affected people back when I was 5.
Yeah,
And I don't really know if I have any interest in watching The Passion.
that's fine.
Okay, so Jim Caviezel is the guy that plays Jesus in that movie. And I know him from a show called Person of Interest, where he was like a professional assassin. And so I just don't think I could take him seriously as Jesus.
I feel like when we were kids, when we watched stuff like that,
Yeah.
we thought that was like actually filmed like
Oh, yeah.
in the times or like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen those old like Moses movies that were on like VHS? It showed like the biblical stories and stuff, and it was like actually filmed in like probably the friggin' 70s or earlier.
70s.
I don't even know.
I think the only Moses movie that I've ever seen is The Prince of Egypt.
It was like any biblical story. There was these movies. It was like old time looking. So like as a kid, I really thought that was like
You were like, that is
that
Moses.
was filmed when like
How
Jesus
can people
walked on
say
earth.
How can people say that the Bible's untrue? We have video proof.
Literally.
We used to watch, I think it was called Promise Keepers. It was a cartoon, and it was about like the first century church. And honestly, that show scared me. It was a cartoon. I think I said that already. But that show scared me because they would have to like meet in secret, because it was like, you know, they could, whatever. And you would have to like, they had a symbol that you, like, it was the fish, like the Christian fish, you know. They would have to draw that at the church meetings. They would knock on the door. Somebody would open it. They would have to draw it in the sand and then sweep it away. And then they would be let in and like led into the secret prayer meeting. And I was so scared.
A little cultish.
I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to have to learn how to draw a fish. And that was one of the first things I ever learned how to draw. You better believe it. And I honestly don't even remember like what the point is of those movies.
Just to scare children.
Honestly, same with Left Behind. Because like it wasn't, I don't remember it like telling, it was after Jesus. So it wasn't like telling biblical stories. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the purpose was for those. There was also a show that we watched. I mean, I say show. They're like video, like VHS, like series.
Yeah.
They weren't like shown on the TV, I don't think. But it was called Greatest Adventures.
I think I know what that is.
Yes, it was 3 main characters, and they were like archaeologists, and they found some type of time travel portal thing, and then they would every episode or every movie or whatever, they would go back in time to a specific Bible story.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved those. Those are my favorite.
I loved Adventures in Odyssey in every form. In the VHS tapes, when it would come on the like radio, because on like the Christian radio station they would play Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was so good. Their stuff was such good stories.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would still watch Adventures in Odyssey to this day because it's great.
Yeah.
And I will raise my kids up on it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also watched Touched by an Angel a lot.
I loved that show.
We should watch it. Was it a show or movies?
Yeah, it was a show.
It was a show. We should watch that.
We should totally watch it. And
Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven. Oh my gosh, that show had a chokehold on me
That
as a child.
show taught me a lot. I rented them from the library on VHS.
I love
or,
that.
No. It might have been DVD.
Maybe.
I don't. Either way, I rented it from the library.
Man, I'll tell you what. Touched by an Angel, that was like the show that we watched when we went to my grandparents' house because we didn't have cable or anything growing up.
Same.
There was like a short period of time where we had like local channels, and that's when we watched PBS. But then the next house that we moved to didn't have that. So anyway, we would be at my grandma's house watching Touched by an Angel. And I remember after Touched by an Angel was over, it was time to go to bed because right after Touched by an Angel, it was always Diagnosis Murder.
Oh. Scary.
And we weren't allowed to watch that, but my grandma was like, I gotta watch my show, y'all go to bed. And I remember, like, I don't know, she must have fallen asleep during Touched by an Angel, and so Ariel and I were like, we can stay here. And we watched an episode of Diagnosis Murder, which, like, looking back on it, it's like such a run-of-the-mill show. Like, it wasn't scary or anything, but it probably would have been for a child.
True.
Because it's like a murder mystery. But the episode that I remember watching was Dick Van Dyke, who was the doctor, like the main character. He got like locked in a room with laughing gas.
Oh.
And he was like laughing because it was laughing gas. And he was like running out of air laughing. And I did not understand what was going on. I was like, this man is crazy. And he is laughing. And he like almost died. And then of course he didn't because he's the main character. So like somebody busts him out of the room. And he's like gasping for air. And he's like, that was laughing gas. And I was like, that is not real. Like I was so sure they made it up.
That is not real. Another series that we used to live off of was the Christy movies.
Oh my god.
That was pretty suspenseful.
So suspenseful. And talk about like the original love triangle. That's crazy. Whose team were you?
I can't remember all that.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
Oh man. Team David for life. It was either David or
I would
Dr.
have-
Neil McNeil.
I would have to see them.
We should rewatch them.
We should.
Oh my gosh, they're so good.
And Seventh Heaven.
Yes. We sure have a lot of things to watch for people who don't watch anything.
We won't end up watching any of it ever. Even if we started on an episode, we'd probably we'll either hyper focus on it and get locked in, or we'll start doing something else and forget it's even on.
Yeah, maybe when I crochet your mushroom, we'll watch a show.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows where I'll be.
That's a big maybe. But I loved the Christy movies, and when I was in, I think it was when I was in like 8th grade or something, I read the book. Do you know that it's a book?
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading it for school, and it was like through a co-op class. And so I don't know if you know this, but there's a very like graphic scene in the book. So like it was coming up, and the teacher of the co-op class was like, hey, like told all the moms like, hey, this scene is coming up. Like you should read it first before your girls read it. And then you can decide if you want them to read it. It's okay if they don't. And so my mom blacked out the pages with Sharpie. And she was like, you don't need to read that. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh, my mom would have done the same thing.
And then one girl in the class was like, oh, my mom tore the pages out. And then another girl in the class was like, I read it. And like that was nowhere in the movies. Miss Alice had like a very dark backstory in the book.
That's weird how they do that with books. Sometimes there's more to the story
Yeah.
than there is in the movie, and it's weird.
Yeah.
But I was never a book reader ever, so
That's true.
I don't know anything about books. Don't ask me. The only book I read is the Bible, and I'm not even reading that enough.
I thought you were going to say, I'm not even reading that right now. I was like, whoa, maybe we should have a talk. I hated how the series ended, though, too. But also, okay, this is all over the place. We would also rent them from the library. And I'm pretty sure we were the only ones that rented them from the library. We would rent them and then return them. And then, like, go back the
Rent
next
them
day
again.
and rent them again.
We did that with some stuff, too.
There was a show that we watched that was like, I wonder if I could find it. It was like a survival show, but it took like modern families and sent them to this like experiment place in Montana where they had to live as if they were like pioneers.
Oh.
And it was like a reality show with real families. And oh my gosh, we ate that show up. We loved it. So it was like, I can't remember how many families, like 3 or 4 different families. And they had to like all prep for the winter and like see how well they would survive as pioneers. And one of the dads was like, obviously like it's very physical labor. Like they had to build a log cabin. They had to like chop all their firewood. They had to take care of their animals. Like it was like working the land. And one of the dads like obviously became very lean and like muscular. And he thought he was dying. He was like, I've lost so much weight and I am too skinny. And he made them bring in a doctor to check him out and weigh him. And the doctor was like, you're fine. You're just working hard. And we just thought that was so funny. I still think about that show like all the time because they also like learned how to they had to make all of their stuff, like all of their like soaps and shampoos and everything. They had to like just make it.
Seems like a good thing to learn, though.
Definitely.
To watch and know that people actually work hard for some things.
Oh, yeah. And they were, like, miserable people.
Oh.
They did not have a good time. They were, like, they could not wait to get back to reality. But, yeah, it was just, like, there was, like, one family that was, like, super rich. And it was just extremely hard for the mom to, like, get used to domestic labor. And, like, they had to figure out how to make shampoo out of, like, egg whites. And
I've heard that's good for your hair, so.
I guess so. But then they had to, like, get the chickens for the egg whites. And then they would have, like, it was just, like, crazy. Like, it's so many things that you don't think about, like, how things come to be. But
sounds like you grew up a little Amish.
Oh, my gosh, I wanted to be Amish.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I can tell.
I bet you did.
I read a lot of Amish books. That's the truth.
You should get a t-shirt that says that.
Oh
I read a
my
lot
gosh.
of Amish books.
I did. I used to actually, somebody used to give me a copy of The Budget, which is called, the newspaper, the Amish newspaper that's published for all Amish people. It's called The Budget. And there was somebody in our church that used to give me copies of it because he knew that I like to read Amish novels. And so and I remember, listen, 13, 14-year-old Mariah, even 16-year-old Mariah is quite an embarrassment. Like sometimes
even 27. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes I look back on my Facebook memories and see the stuff that I posted and I'm like, girl, you didn't have to be out here posting about the Amish so much.
You just took it upon yourself to even post about the Amish.
I would like post I would post like information found in The Budget and be like, here you go.
like there must be other people out there that want to know about the Amish. Since
Exactly.
I love it so much. 0 likes or comments.
Or like it'd be my friends' moms be like, oh, like
that is so cool, Mariah.
Yeah.
Just trying to give you some support.
Yeah. So that's what it was like to be me growing up. I would read books like Christy and Amish novels, and I would read, for my nonfiction, I would read The Budget, the Amish newspaper.
That's so funny. I'm just finding this out for the first time.
I also read like a lot of historical fiction, and maybe I shouldn't say this out loud. My favorite era to read was about the Civil War.
The Amish people was your Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And the Civil War.
And the Civil War.
What about Little House on the Prairie? Did you watch that?
You know, I never got into Little House on the Prairie.
Oh,
of
really?
all things.
Like you didn't like it or you just didn't watch it?
I just didn't like it.
What?
I mean, I watched like a couple episodes and I was like, this is not for me. It was like too corny.
Yeah.
I read the books when I was in school. I read, I think, the first 3 books. And like I liked them fine, but also I was just like, I'm over it with this family. Like they just keep going and going and going. They have too many stories.
I loved it.
A lot of people did.
It was so good. It was like a wholesome family. I don't know how to explain it. It's been so long since I watched it, but since I watched it. I feel like I'm slurring mentally and physically.
So how do you slur mentally?
Like my brain's not fully working.
Yeah, I get it.
I love how this turned into like things we used to rent from the library.
For real.
Which honestly, I could keep going.
Yeah,
we got so much from the library.
I used to come home with piles of books from the
I
library.
bet you did. Erica did too.
Oh my gosh. I loved the library. And also like there was one house that we lived in that didn't have any Wi-Fi and no cell service.
Man, you must have been reading.
Oh my gosh.
You probably read all your books in one day.
I read so much in that house, and I read like multiple series. And this is so funny. I would take walks with my mom sometimes at night because behind the house that we were living in, there was like a not a football field, a baseball field. And so we would just walk around the baseball field at night sometimes, and nobody else wanted to come with us, obviously. So it was just us. And I would just tell her all about the books that I was reading and keep her updated on the storylines. And I'm sure she did not care, but she was just listening like, okay.
That's all a part of being a mom.
Yeah,
you don't care,
true.
but you have to act like you do.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
but
so cool, honey.
It's fun, like, to remember that. She probably doesn't remember that. She doesn't remember anything about me growing up. But yeah, it was just like all I could do was read. And Ariel, this is so funny and describes the differences between us, I think. I would stay in my room for hours and I would read books and I would read my Bible and I would listen to the radio and I would pray, and I had this prayer journal and I was just always like da 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 da. And I was 14. And Ariel, who was 18, she would go to the library and she would get I Dream of Jeannie DVDs and Bewitched. And I would not even be in the same room with her while she watched those. I was like, that is demonic. That is witchcraft. It says it in the name. Bewitched. And I will not have any part of it. I am going to read my Bible and listen to my Christian music. I always was like, my parents are like okay with this. They would watch it with her. And I'm like, she's bringing demonic activity into our house. I'm going to go read my Amish books.
You have to reclaim my spirituality.
Yeah. I was like so sure that this was not the way. But now I look back and I'm like, girl, get a grip.
We weren't allowed to watch anything like that. Wizards, witches, nothing. Like
we weren't either. That's the thing. Like she was 18, so she could do whatever she wanted, I guess. But in my mind, I'm like, you're 18, but you're still living at home, so like respect.
You said your parents watched it with her though.
Yeah.
So they didn't really care.
At that point, they were like, we're done parenting.
Wow.
But me, I was not done parenting. I was still parenting myself.
And your older sister.
And I said, my daughter, me, will not be watching this.
Yeah, we used to love like Wizards of Waverly Place. And like that was since we were teenagers then, it was like a little more like okay, but my parents still always had something to say about it, but we loved it. So we're like it's not actually about like witchcraft. Like they're literally doing fake spells. I mean, all of them really, that's what it is. But yeah, we were never allowed to watch Harry Potter, nothing like that. Bewitched, yeah, right. Any Halloween movies.
Oh my gosh, yeah, same. I never thought about that actually.
Yeah,
that's why I had never seen Matilda until this year.
Oh,
because she can move things with her mind. That's magic.
Yeah.
And we like never were allowed to watch like Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Or what's that one with the 3
Nightmare
witches?
Oh, I don't know, but the Nightmare Before Christmas. I never saw that until I was 26 or something. I watched it like last year for the first time.
I've still never seen it and honestly don't want to.
Honestly, it's overrated.
That's what I think.
And people might kill
I know
me for saying that, but like I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
it's different
it's
when
awesome.
you don't grow up on it.
Yeah, it's cool because it was made by with like
Yeah, it's like
what is it called?
claymation.
Claymation.
That stuff scares me.
It
really
scares
gives
me
me
too.
the heebie-jeebies. Like Fantastic Mr. Fox. Ariel loves that movie. I cannot. Chicken Run. Did you ever watch Chicken Run?
Chicken Run, I feel like gave me nightmares.
Oh, I hated that. It just makes me feel something.
Weird.
Like something is off in my
Yeah.
spirit when I look at claymation, and I'm like, I will just have to
I think
pass.
it's because it's so weird that it's like it's clay and it's moving and it's doing these things and our brains can't fathom how they put it together the way they did.
Yeah, and
Because
like
that's all I could think about when I was watching Nightmare Before Christmas.
it's also just like crazy how it's not like it doesn't look the same all the time, and I my little autistic brain cannot handle that.
You look like you're freaking out just thinking about it.
Laura and Sarah love claymation, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I will be having no part.
I mean, I definitely think Chicken Run was a very weird movie, and it always gave me weird vibes. So I'm glad now to see that other people feel the same.
Yeah, but
Person.
not very many people. Like that's a beloved movie.
Yeah.
And when you say you don't like Chicken Run, people want to shun you.
I want to
So,
watch it again now as
sorry.
an adult because I haven't seen it since I was like a teenager or a kid.
I don't know if I can. You're on your own with that one.
It's okay. I probably won't ever watch it.
So true. What is that Halloween movie
The Three Witches?
with the three witches? What is that called?
Is that not Bewitched?
No, Bewitched is a show about like a genie.
Is it called The Three Witches?
No, it was like a Disney movie.
Yeah, I know what you. Wait, or what about is that the one with the sisters? Isn't there?
Yeah. The Sandoval sisters or something.
Yeah. What is it called?
Oh my gosh, Tessa's gonna hate me for not knowing this.
I don't know.
She's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
never
like, "How can you not remember what this movie is called?"
I never watched that either.
Oh my gosh, Tessa, I'm so sorry. I literally cannot. You're gonna have to text me and tell me what it's called. But anyways, I wasn't allowed to watch that. Also, Haunted Mansion.
I have a funny story about that.
Okay, good.
So I wasn't allowed to watch stuff like that, obviously, but when I went to friends' houses, I didn't really care. There were certain things I chose to care about, but that wasn't one of them. And they had this room that was like connected to their house and then the garage, and then they had this room that was like a TV room, I guess.
Wow,
I don't
bougie.
know. Kind of, but kind of sketchy. There was like even a bed in there.
Oh. Sounded kind of weird now.
I know. But it was just like a random room off to the side of their garage. But yeah. So when I was at this friend's house from school, this is when I was in public school, they wanted to watch the Haunted Mansion. So we watched it. And I feel like I can't remember completely, but I don't know if my parents ever found out. I feel like I remember them like freaking out on me for watching that.
Probably.
But I don't know. There's been so many times where I probably watched things I wasn't supposed to. But yeah, my parents didn't even want us watching like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Oh yeah, I couldn't watch that either.
Or The Addams Family, which I also used to watch at my friend's grandparents' house. Me and her, like both of our parents didn't really want us to watch that.
But you're at the grandparents' house, so.
Yeah, so we watched The Addams Family while we went to bed.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I don't know why we weren't like scared.
I watched The Haunted Mansion for the first time 2.5 years ago. And it wasn't I was at Tessa's house and she was like, "We're going to watch The Haunted Mansion." And so I just had Hammy the whole time and was feeding him and holding him, and he was such a cute little teeny tiny baby. And now he's a little baby that calls me Aunt Corey.
He's so cute.
I know. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how big he's getting. But anyways, yeah, that was the first time I had seen Haunted Mansion.
I don't remember anything specific about it.
I remember that Eddie Murphy is so funny.
Yeah. I remember that about what's the movies? His main movies back then.
Daddy Daycare.
Oh wait, yeah, that's an amazing movie.
Oh my gosh, such a good movie.
The Daddy Doolittle or
Dr. Doolittle.
Daddy
Daddy Doolittle.
Yeah, Doctor.
You know what? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Really?
Yeah, I saw the original Dr. Doolittle like from the 80s, but I never watched the remake with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, he did like 3 of them.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember thinking, ugh, it's not going to be as good as the original.
Of course you did.
I was a little hipster.
You probably thought that about every movie that came out that had a book first. You're probably like, it's not
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
as good as the book. But
I think somebody bought me a shirt that said the book was better.
yeah, you were definitely one of those people.
100%. The Hunger Games, oh my gosh, the books were so much better.
See, that's one only reason why I wish I could read, so I could experience like how. I mean,
Angelica's illiterate. Confirmed.
no, like I wish I could get myself to read a book. Because I would love to know how Hunger Games could be better. Because I love the Hunger Games series.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even like a movie person like that anymore. Like I don't really care for series or anything like that. But I love the Hunger Games. So if I could read.
If you could read, if only.
If only I could read. Yeah.
Have you ever tried listening to an audiobook?
I listened to Jackie Hill Perry's audiobook
Oh, yeah.
of Gay Girl, Good God, and
Yeah.
that was amazing. But that's like real. And I don't think I could listen to something that's fiction.
Really?
I don't think that would do anything for me. Like, the only reason I listened to the audiobook is because I wanted to read her book
Yeah.
so bad that, like, I'm not going to read it, so let me hear it.
Yeah. We should just try it sometime. We should just try to get you to listen to an audiobook.
Okay, we
And
can
see
try
what
it.
happens. You're like, don't get your hopes up.
No, because I really don't even, like, care to actually, like, get into that because, I don't know, I would much rather listen to stuff that's, like, real. Like,
But you can. Like, a lot of the books that I listened to last year were nonfiction. Like, Gentle and Lowly is one of my favorite books. And I listened to it on audio. And it's just like, it's nonfiction. It's like a story. I mean, it's theology, basically. Theology about the heart of God. And it was beautiful. Such a beautiful book to listen to. And like, The Danish Way of Parenting, I listened to that. So there's a lot of books that you can listen to that aren't fiction.
true.
I'm really going to try. I'm going to try to get you to read.
I mean, that's why I like podcasts because it's people talking and it's like advice and teaching and everything.
That's why I think you would like audiobooks, because it's like that, but it like can go even deeper. Like a podcast can only go so deep on a topic, and a book you can like really get into it. Like the Lisa Turkhurst book that I read, Forgiving What You Can't Forget, which I've mentioned 100 million times on this podcast. I listened to that, and it was like, I would have to pause it sometimes to be like, oh, let me take that in.
Yeah, I would be like screen recording everything.
Yeah, I did that a lot.
That's what I do when I listen to good sermons or good podcasts. I'm just like, screen record, and then don't even do anything with it.
I know, but it's just good to have.
Yeah, it's like if you do have that memory of like, what was that good quote? And you got to go back and find it.
Yeah.
Because that's what annoys me so bad about my brain is that I could hear an awesome quote or even like a scripture verse, anything, a million times, and my brain still will warp it when I go to say it.
Yeah.
So then I just can't do it, and then I just ruin it. Like I'll be like, oh yeah, and I heard this quote one time, and then I'm like, I actually don't remember what I heard.
Yeah.
But it's like in there, but it won't come out. I don't
Yeah.
know. So that's a good thing to have screen recordings.
Do you have an internal monologue?
I think so. Isn't that when you like
Like, do you hear a voice inside your head when you're thinking? Do you think in words or pictures?
I don't know, now that you're saying it like that. I think in words.
Okay. Like, when you're, like, walking around and you're thinking to yourself, is it like you're having a conversation with yourself in your head?
Maybe sometimes. I don't know. I feel like I've thought about this before, but now I'm really thinking about it. I don't know.
'Cause I wonder if you actually don't have an internal monologue, and that's why it's hard to reproduce quotes. Tessa's husband, Matt, doesn't have an internal monologue. And he's always, because he doesn't have an internal monologue, he's always, like, thinking out loud. So you can be anywhere in the house, and you'll just hear him talking to himself because he has to, like, talk out loud in order to think.
That's crazy. So when people don't have an internal monologue, that's what they do is they talk outside. I mean,
They talk outside. They talk outside
nothing
their
is
head.
coming out right. They talk out of like
They think
They
out
talk out
loud.
loud.
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
of-
It's just so funny. Like, Tessa will text me sometimes and be like, this is what Matt's doing, and this is what he's thinking about. It's so funny. And it's just, like, very endearing. I just love that about Matt.
I think I am like both or something. I have an internal monologue, but I also sometimes don't or something.
Yeah, I have an internal monologue, so it's very hard for me to conceptualize the fact that some people don't have an internal monologue. But apparently, like, if you don't, you think in, like, concepts and, like, I don't know, pictures maybe? I'm not sure. If you don't have an internal monologue, let me know how you think.
Yeah, let us know. Because I don't even know. I still don't even know. I have to think about it when I'm thinking, you know? So I can know what my brain is doing.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. Why are some people different?
I don't know.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it has to do with, like, artistic people versus, like, mechanical people.
Well, I'll have to let you guys know that update.
Yeah,
when I figure out.
I'll, like, find some videos
Yeah.
in order to, like, explain it to you.
Yeah.
This is going to be the year of the audiobook for you. I really believe it.
Probably not.
Another show that I used to watch, that everybody watched, let's be honest, Full House.
I actually didn't really watch Full House that much.
Wow, I loved that show. And I also loved all the, oh my gosh. This is actually so, it goes along so well with the previous stories that I've told. But my favorite channel was TV Land because it played all the old shows. It would play, like, Happy Days, the Andy Griffith Show.
I loved those shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy Days was such a good show.
Yeah.
Happy
The Cosby
Show. Happy Days.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, happy day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, happy day. Gonna come to you. These days are all.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I love those too. And
Oh my
Andy
gosh,
Griffith Show was
I Love
really
Lucy.
good. Oh yeah.
I loved
And
I Love
Gilligan's
Lucy.
Island. Did you watch that?
I didn't. I don't know why.
I loved Gilligan's Island.
There was something about it that my mom didn't want to see. I think probably because the one girl, like, wore her shirt, like, tied.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was.
Probably it. That's so funny. Man, these are like people in the younger generation would have no clue what we're talking about.
I know. And honestly, how sad.
That's really
because
sad.
let's think about what their happy days are. Like
It's Cardi B.
no, I mean, like, something that they would think is old, but it's something that we grew up with. Because, like, my parents grew up with Happy Days.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be That's So Raven. Sweet Life of
I
Zack
don't
and
know
Cody.
if it's that ancient to them yet.
Lizzie McGuire.
I think that's all in the same era, isn't it?
I feel like Lizzie McGuire is very early Disney.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
know.
maybe more so like the PBS shows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
We'll
the
have to ask them.
PBS shows do go on forever. Like, Arthur just ended.
Yeah. Most kids just don't watch shows at all anymore.
You're so right.
They don't. They literally just watch YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that. Even
Yeah.
if they're like 5 years old. A lot of times 5-year-olds are literally just clicking through. Even 3-year-olds. They'll be going through YouTube shorts and stuff. And, like, obviously not. Usually should be like the kids'
Right.
YouTube stuff. But still, like, they know how to work phones and everything. That's not like they wouldn't know how to work a remote, like a regular,
Yeah.
not like a Apple TV remote, but like a regular,
Like an old school
remote.
that's, like, super long.
They would be like, what is this?
The shows that they watch now are, like, well, like, little kids, like Bluey or, like, Cocomelon. And you know what? You know who I love?
Who?
Miss Rachel.
Who is that?
She's a YouTuber. I think she might be getting her own show, though. But she's, like, an early childhood education specialist. And she just, like, started making YouTube videos. And they're, like, so good and so cute and so educational. And so a lot of times parents are like, they're, like, good with their kids watching Miss Rachel for a little while because a lot of kids, like, have progress with their speech and, like, interaction because of Miss Rachel. I love her.
Yeah. That's cool, though. That's the stuff that people should be learning about. Thanks for listening, guys. Stay tuned for part 2.
See you next week.
Peace.